चाहे कोई भी विषय के ऊपर क्यों ना हो, I will take it on and I'll spend time. No worry, no problem of time. Okay, so what are the issues जो जिसके ऊपर मैं बात करना चाहता हूँ? First thing I want to speak of is the Ukraine war. क्योंकि यूक्रेन वॉर के बारे में बहुत दिन से मैंने बात नहीं किया, तो आई थॉट लेट मी शेयर सम आइडियाज अबाउट यूक्रेन वॉर. The way the Ukraine war is going, it is very clear that neither Russia nor Ukraine or USA can win the war. Neither will they lose the war. So where is it going to end? It is going to end as a frozen conflict when people get fed up of the whole situation, or when Russia feels that कि हमने जितना टेरिटरी हासिल करना था और हमारे मुद्दे जो मोटे मोटे मुद्दे अगर हमने हासिल कर लिया, तो उस वक्त ये फ्रोजन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हो जाएगा. पर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट रहेगा. क्यों रहेगा? क्योंकि अगर आप इसका इतिहास देखोगे तो ये तो 2014 से चल रहा है. ये ऐसे नया कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं है कि 2022 में शुरू हुआ है, और ये जब हीट खत्म हो जाएगा ये चलता रहेगा. इसका परिणाम क्या होगा वो अलग बात है, वो किसी और दिन में आई विल टॉक अबाउट इट एंड द ग्लोबल इफेक्ट्स. बट इसमें वन थिंग or two three things which have come out very clearly. Attrition as a form of warfare has come back. ये जो युद्ध हो रहा है यूक्रेन और रशिया के बीच में, अगर आप वर्ल्ड वॉर 1 महाविश्व युद्ध के बारे में अगर आप पढ़ोगे तो इसी तरीके से ये युद्ध होता था उन दिनों में. एट्रिशन. और एट्रिशन में क्या दो चीज चाहिए आपको तो जीतने के लिए, और वो है तोपखाना और पीपल. आबादी चाहिए जो लड़ सकता है, राइट. अगर यूक्रेन हार जाएगा तो आबादी खत्म हो जाएगा. तोपखाना तो खैर वो यूएसए वाले या बाकी और कुछ दे भी दे तो हमारे लिए भी ये इम्पोर्टेंट है कि हमारा तोपखाना सॉलिड होना चाहिए और हमारे लोग होना चाहिए लड़ने के लिए. लोगों के बारे में हमारे पास कोई शंका ही नहीं है. हमारे पास उतने लोग हैं. अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो वो अग्निवीर कॉन्सेप्ट के साथ है, पर वो किसी और दिन. जहां तक आर्टिलरी का सवाल है, 4 साल पहले अगर आप ये सवाल मेरे से पूछते तो मैं बोलता यार आर्टिलरी है ही नहीं हमारे पास. 4 साल नहीं, 10 साल पहले. सही बात बताऊं, 10 साल के बाद ये कहानी शुरू चेंज हो गया. किसी दिन मैं फुर्सत से आपको बताऊंगा क्यों ये आर्टिलरी का कहानी पूरा चेंज हो गया. एक्चुअली हमारा आर्टिलरी बहुत सॉलिड आर्टिलरी है, राइट. तो उसका भी हमें कोई ये नहीं है. तो हम वो उस जगह पे पहुंच गए जहां हम वैसे हार नहीं सकते. सच पूछो तो कोई हमें हरा नहीं सकता, चाहे वो चीन हो या कोई. पाकिस्तान तो छोड़ ही दीजिए, चीन. उल्टा हम भी चीन को हरा नहीं सकते, साफ बता रहा हूं मैं, राइट. छोटा मोटा हार जीत होगा पोजीशंस के ऊपर, पर उससे ज्यादा नहीं हो सकता. तीसरा बात जो इंपॉर्टेंट है वो है दृढ़ता, दृढ़ निश्चय, रिजॉल्व. वो इंग्रेडिएंट चाहिए अगर कल के जंग जीतना है तो. अगर आप देखिएगा तो हर एक आदमी, हर एक एक्टर यूक्रेन की लड़ाई में, चाहे रशिया क्यों ना हो और यूक्रेन क्यों ना हो या यूएसए क्यों ना हो या यूरोप क्यों ना हो, उन्होंने वो दृढ़ता दिखाया है लड़ने के लिए. जिसका दृढ़ता खत्म हो जाएगा, whose resolve will waver, will lose the war. But still it will not be a complete loss, it will be a frozen conflict. Frozen conflict with some position of advantage to the victor. Right. ये जो चक्रव्यूह में जो ये यूक्रेन वॉर फंसा है वो है आर्टिलरी, पीपल और रिजॉल्व. उसको तोड़ने के लिए चाहिए मोबिलिटी, मैनूवर. क्योंकि मेरा ये पूरा मानना है, और पूरा मानना ये एक पुराना कहावत है, बैटल, लड़ाई का दो मेन चीज है फायर एंड मैनूवर. The two main ingredients of battle are fire and maneuver. If you can't do that, You can't do that. I mean, you're not going to win. And for that, you need mobility. In mobility, India has a tremendous advantage. We have shown tremendous mobility in mountains. And our warfare with PLA will be in mountains. And in mountains, we have the capacities, we have the training, we have the history, and we have the capability to maneuver and be mobile. This was shown during Kargil, it was shown during Eastern Ladakh, it was shown again during Yangtze. आप सोच सकते हो कि यांगजे छोटा चिटपुट था, but in the time in which that whole thing happened, we were able to mobilize enough forces to turn the battle ratios. और उस झड़प में हमारा नफरी ज्यादा हो गया. At the point of decision, चाइना को वापस जाना पड़ा. So mobility is something which will keep us in good stead. पर जैसे मैंने बताया इस चीज के बारे में, फायर, मैनूवर, मोबिलिटी, आर्टिलरी, इस चीज के बारे में किसी और दिन मैं फुर्सत से आप लोगों से बताऊंगा. राइट. दूसरी चीज, शैंग्रीला डायलॉग. ये जो शैंग्रीला डायलॉग है आजकल सिंगापुर में चल रहा है. शैंग्रीला डायलॉग क्या है? इट इज एन एनुअल सिक्योरिटी इवेंट इन सिंगापुर, जहां तकरीबन सारे देश के डिफेंस मिनिस्टर्स आते हैं, बात करते हैं. इस शैंग्रीला डायलॉग में क्या निकल आ रहा है वो है कि चाइना और यूएसए के बीच आगे क्या होगा, क्योंकि वो बहुत अनिश्चितता है अलोंग द इन द इंडो पैसिफिक, खास करके वेस्टर्न पैसिफिक. ये नौबत है कि क्या वहां जंग छिड़ेगा या नहीं. कल ही there were two ships, one of the American called Changhoon and the other was a Canadian destroyer. They were doing freedom of navigation operations through the Taiwan Strait, and a Chinese vessel came and did close maneuvers. ऐसे क्लोज मैनूवर्स का मतलब सिर्फ 200 मीटर के अंदर आ गया डिस्टेंस, और 200 मीटर के अंदर एक बड़ा जहाज अगर जाते हैं तो देखने वाले दृश्य है. राइट. एंड दैट बिकम्स डेंजरस. अगर किसी ने इसमें मिसकैलकुलेशन कर दिया तो कोलिशन हो सकता है, फायर हो सकता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है. उस हालत में लड़ाई भी छिड़ सकता है. तो मेरा अनुमान ये है कि ये जो यूएस चाइना का जो प्रॉब्लम है ये बिगड़ता जाएगा. अगर आप पिछले 2 महीने से देख रहे हो तो इनका जो बातचीत, इनका एक्शंस वगैरह वगैरह, और इट्स गोइंग इनटू मोर प्रॉब्लम्स. साथ साथ पिछले 6 महीने इसीलिए बोल रहा हूं क्योंकि अक्टूबर जब 20 पार्टी कांग्रेस हुआ था, उसके बाद जीरो कोविड खत्म हो गया जनवरी में. जनवरी से अभी जून तकरीबन 6 महीना हो गया. लोग बोलते थे कि चाइना का जब रीओपनिंग होगा तो रीबाउंड होगा और उसका इकोनॉमी वापस उभर के आएगा. अभी पता चल रहा है कि वो होने वाला नहीं है, क्योंकि जॉब्स नहीं है. हाल ही में मैंने वो परसों के दिन पीक इनटू एवरीडे चाइना में आपको बताया कि क्लाइमेट चेंज उसके ऊपर असर हो रहा है. इनके वर्किंग क्लास पॉपुलेशन है ही नहीं, वो पता नहीं कहाँ गायब हो गया. एक्सपोर्ट ऑर्डर्स है ही नहीं. इनके ट्रेड फेयर्स में कोई आ नहीं रहा. आ रहे हैं तो अफ्रीका से और एशियन से आ रहे हैं. वो कहते हैं कि भाई हम इतना पैसा नहीं देंगे आपको, हाई एंड टेक्नोलॉजी हमें नहीं चाहिए, वैल्यू एडेड सिस्टम्स चाहिए. वैल्यू एडेड सिस्टम्स, चीप सिस्टम्स. उससे चाइना का मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर गुजारा नहीं होगा. अगर गुजारा ही नहीं होगा तो जॉब्स नहीं है तो कंजम्पशन नहीं है, सब कुछ. इसका प्रॉपर्टी का मार्केट टफ है. प्रॉपर्टी का मार्केट टफ है तो स्टील टफ है, सीमेंट टफ है, इलेक्ट्रिक टफ है, सब कुछ. तो ये चलता रहेगा. ये हम कहानी सुनते आएंगे कि इनका इकोनॉमिक प्रॉब्लम्स चलते रहेगा. ये नहीं होगा कि कोलैप्स हो जाएगा, पर चलता रहेगा. इसका फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम्स भी चलता रहेगा. इनका कोई गुब्बारा बर्स्ट नहीं होगा, क्योंकि चाइना में सब कुछ गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल करता है, मार्केट में कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है. ये नहीं कि हमारा सेंसेक्स ऊपर जाए नीचे जाए कुछ है, वो उनका स्टॉक मार्केट भी गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल करता है, राइट। पर इस ये दोनों चीजों का क्या असर होगा, वो ये है कि चाइना का जो सेल्फ कंटेनमेंट है वो बढ़ता जाएगा। व्हाट इज इट? व्हाट इज सेल्फ कंटेनमेंट? चाइना always said that look, USA and big powers are trying to contain China. Fine. But China has adopted in the past 2 years a very aggressive posture against its neighbors. Whether it is India, Taiwan, Vietnam, Japan, Philippines, इन सब के साथ अग्रसर नजर आया है. And it has been threatening them with their military. It has been threatening them and claiming part of their territories. इनका जापान के साथ डिस्प्यूट है, इन सब के साथ डिस्प्यूट है. ऊपर ये दे आर इंक्रीजिंग, दे बीन इंक्रीजिंग देयर न्यूक्लियर एसेट्स एक्सपोनेंशियली, जो हमने जनरल पीआर कुमार के साथ बात किया था. तो अगर आप ये सब देखोगे, राइट, चाइना हैज बीन एग्रेसिव आउटवर्ड. सो दिस एग्रेसिवनेस हैज क्रिएटेड अ रिएक्शन. एंड एज पार्ट ऑफ दिस रिएक्शन हमने उस दिन जनरल गौतम मूर्ति साहब से भी बात किया था. The 8 fronts which China is facing now. So you find the complete ring of Chinese, neighbors have now increased their military potential and trained it towards China, which means China is today ring fenced and it is doing a self-containment. It is not necessary that USA will come and do containment of China. China's own actions are containing itself. At the same time, its BRI in various places is getting into problems. So China will have this problem. China will have this dichotomy that it will have a problem at its near shores and it will still want to become a maritime power. And as days go by, there will be problems of internal instability which will come up, which so far have not come out too much in the open. आए हैं 6 महीने से, 6-7 महीने से प्रोटेस्ट विद इन चाइना. क्या ये आगे बढ़े और ज्यादा होंगे इज अ पॉइंट टू सी. सो यू गोना सी कि द आउटकम्स इन द शैंग्री-ला डायलॉग अगर आप आज के दिन देखेंगे, कल और आज जो मैंने देखा, वो सब चाइना सेंटर्ड है, चाइना यूएस राइवलरी है, पर बड़ा क्लियर आ रहा है कि चाइना इज हैविंग गोइंग टू हैव प्रॉब्लम्स. अगर चाइना को प्रॉब्लम्स हैं तो वो हमें ट्रांसफर करेगा, बाकियों को ट्रांसफर करेगा, क्योंकि इंडिया इज राइजिंग एंड इंडियाज राइज इज एट द एक्सपेंस ऑफ चाइना एंड चाइनाज इकोनॉमी इज गोइंग डाउन. China's animosity towards India will increase. In case the animosity increases, it will manifest itself in the Indian Ocean, it will manifest itself in the LAC, it will manifest itself amongst our neighbors, and if we give them an opportunity, it will manifest internally in disturbances in the country. This is something which we should be cognizant of and we should take steps against. The next part I want to talk of is de-dollarization. There's a lot of talk these days about de-dollarization and that the US economy is going down X, Y, Z. It's not going to happen. We have to understand that we do not have an alternate to the dollar today. The yuan cannot be an alternate because yuan, no one can trust the Chinese yuan to rule the monetary system of the world. कम से कम हम तो नहीं कर सकते. हम तो कभी भी यूएन को रिजर्व नहीं मानेंगे. इंडिया, अगर इंडिया नहीं मानेंगे तो और कौन मानेगा? ब्रिक्स का करेंसी हो नहीं सकता. ईयू का जो करेंसी यूरो could have been an alternate currency, but वो भी डाउन हो गया आजकल। आजकल एक यूरो और डॉलर का रेट एक बराबर है। So which is the reserve currency? It is still the dollar. So this talk that there'll be de-dollarization and US will collapse and a China-centric world order will come, all question marks, huge question marks. मैं 6 महीने पहले मैंने लिख दिया कि डिक्लाइन ऑफ चाइना है सर्टन, वो सर्टन है, वो होगा। हाँ, वाद विवाद हो सकता है कुनकेर डैम। ओके, लेट्स टॉक ऑफ राइजिंग इंडिया। इंडिया उभरते आ रहा है, इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है। इसको कोई रोक सकता, कोई नहीं रोक सकता उसको। और इसके बारे में भी, जैसे आर्टिलरी के बारे में, मैं एक दिन बात करूंगा अबाउट राइजिंग इंडिया एंड व्हाई इंडिया कैन नॉट बी स्टॉप्ड। It doesn't matter whether Mr. Modi is the prime minister or not. It doesn't matter whether X party is in power or Y party is in power. India will rise because of you and I. We, the people of India, will make India rise. This is our history. And I will explain this history in today's economic modern terms one day. In fact, I've written about it, but I will. What are we seeing? We are seeing India championing the cause of the global south. And that article which I showed you day before yesterday is very important. How the prime minister of that Pacific Island nation came and touched our prime minister's feet. Why did he do it? Because we didn't ask him for anything. हमने उनसे कुछ नहीं मांगा, पर हमने क्या दिया उनको? हमने दवाई दी, हार्ट हॉस्पिटल, aid, and things like that. We didn't ask them for port facilities. We didn't ask them for an airport. We spoke of IT. We spoke of a lot of other things. So what are you generating? You generate trust. How do you capitalize on this trust is up to us. क्या हम ये जो विश्वास बाकी दुनिया में और ये जो छोटे देश हैं उन देशों के प्रति, हमारे प्रति उनका जो विश्वास है, उसको हम काबू करके हम आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं, इज अ क्वेश्चन मार्क। पर जय हर वक्त मैं जैसे बताता हूं, उसके लिए हमारा नेबर्स हमारे हाथ में होना चाहिए। तो हमारा सबसे पहले, और पीपल हु शुड हैव इम्प्लिसिट फेथ इन अस, इज नेपाल, भूटान, म्यांमार, बांग्लादेश, श्रीलंका, मालदीव्स एंड अफगानिस्तान। अगर ये देश हमारे साथ हैं, हमारे दायरे में, हमारे और देखते हैं सब हर चीज के लिए, then we are on our way. Okay. पर इसमें अभी जो 2-3 घटनाएं हुई हैं, वो एक चेतावनी दे रहे हैं। जैसे मणिपुर में जो प्रॉब्लम हो गया, जो कल हमने बात किया, अभी ये ट्रेन एक्सीडेंट हो गया, और ये जो रेसलर्स का प्रॉब्लम हुआ, लड़कियां, हमारा जो रेसलर्स जो जंतर मंतर के ऊपर प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं, प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं कितने दिन से, और उनका जो वट एवर देयर, उनका जो मांग है वो थोड़ा सीरियस मांग है। ये 3 चीज हम सोच सकते हैं कि डिसजॉइंटेड है। मैं ऐसे नहीं सोचता। ये एक संकेत है, ये संकेत है कि हमें सतर्क रहने की जरूरत है। हमारा देश जो है, हमें पता होना चाहिए हमारा देश में हमारा जो व्हाट इज आवर स्ट्रेंथ एंड व्हाट इज आवर वीकनेस। और हमारे देश के अंदर बहुत वीकनेसेस हैं, और ये जो वीकनेस जो हमारे देश के अंदर है, वो ये 3 इंसिडेंट्स से पता चल रहा है। आप बोल सकते हो नहीं सर ये तो हो नहीं सकता, पर जिस जगह मैं खड़ा हूं, जो हमने इस दुनिया को या इस देश को हर कोना देख लिया, राइट, हमें तो ये महसूस हो रहा है कि एक संकेत है। क्या यह हालत बिगड़ा हुआ? नहीं, नहीं वो नहीं, पर संकेत है जिसको हमें देखना पड़ेगा ताकि हमारा नींव सॉलिड बने। अगर हमारा गवर्नमेंट आज के दिन सही तरीके से कदम लेगा तो सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा। जिस तरीके से सेकेंड वेव आया था वायरस का, हालत हमारा खराब था, पर गवर्नमेंट ने सही उपाय निकाला, सही कदम लिया, हम बाउंस बैक हो गए। उसी तरीके से इससे भी बाउंस बैक हो सकते हैं। और मेरे ख्याल में उतने विशेषज्ञ तो हैं हमारे गवर्नमेंट में जो ये इस चीज के बारे में सोच रहे होंगे। ओके, लास्ट पॉइंट है, मैं एक छोटा चीज के बारे में बात करना चाहता हूं। द न्यू कॉर्ड। न्यू कॉर्ड क्या है? और ये है हमारा इंडिया का फ्यूचर। ये है न्यू कॉर्ड, राइट। ये न्यू कॉर्ड मैं थोड़ा नजदीक दिखाऊंगा आपको। अगर आप देखेंगे मेरी तरफ से न्यू कॉर्ड है, जो दुनिया, द कॉर्ड विच इज गोइंग टू डोमिनेट द वर्ल्ड अफेयर्स comprises of USA, China, India, and Russia. And this chord is full of tensions. आप along the diagonals देखें, USA and China are attracted to each other. Russia and China are also attracted to each other. Along the diagonals, there's attraction, right? Along the sides of this quadrilateral, you will see there is attraction as also mutual repulsion. That's the beauty. Between Russia and China, there's repulsion. Between China and USA, sorry, between Russia and USA, there's repulsion. Between China and USA, there's repulsion. India and China are under repulsion. And India and Russia are under attraction. So you have this funny quadrangle which is going to get stretched in all kinds of directions. And this quadrangle, the stretch of this quadrangle will depend on how things go. I have not added the floaters in this. And the floaters in this are the EU, the Pacific, Indo-Pacific region countries, Pakistan, Ukraine. All these are the floaters in this quadrangle. But here, I want to mention what a Pakistani has said. He says, two opposing military superpowers of the world claim India to be its ally. That is Russia and USA. There's a Pakistani saying this. So this is an interesting triangle which I've conceived, and I'm going to discuss on each of this relationship in times to come. I've already talked with Brigadier Saigal. उनके साथ हम सोचेंगे कि किस तरीके से इस क्वाड्रेंगल के हर पहलू हम आपके यहाँ तक पहुंचा सकते हैं, राइट। ओके, यहाँ पर मेरा आज का प्रेजेंटेशन खत्म होता है। मैं आपके सवाल लूंगा। ओके, राइट। मैं ऊपर से शुरू करता हूँ, राइट। सबसे पहले अरुण says, how prepared are we to handle cyber attacks from China? Is there a way to quantify and compare cyber attack capabilities of two countries to know which is better, like it is done with weapons? The second answer to the second part, there is no way. There is no way we can quantify and compare cyber attack capabilities of both countries, right? Because with cyber attack capabilities, there has to be a certain amount of vulnerability. Because what is the vulnerability of each country for cyber attacks? Now, how prepared are we to handle cyber attacks from China? We are not. We are not well prepared. Especially where we have gone into networking. See, at the end of the day, Arun, you have to realize, that cyber attacks are against networks. Are we a network country? No, not as it. So where we are not network, we cannot be vulnerable. But where we are network, we are vulnerable. And it has been repeatedly shown. And there is an urgent need to increase the cyber security capabilities of the nation. And you say, how can I volunteer work to enhance cyber security capability in India? I work as software architect and would like to contribute to the armed forces in cyberspace. That's a very noble thought. I'll welcome it. The way I look at it, the armed forces are in a nascent stage of networking. Our networks are all mostly standalone. We're not fully on the net. And if you have a net, it's a standalone net, which can't be penetrated that easily. So, from that point of view, I think our cyber capable, we are quite cyber secure, right? But as we go along down the line, we're going to become vulnerable unless we have our own networks, unless we have our own cloud and all, and that's where you come in. But our main vulnerability is in the civilian sector. If you are a software architect, wherever you're working, uh, one is if you have that domain knowledge, get in touch with someone here to offer products for cyber security. Come with a product and offer it to our civil sector. If it gets absorbed in the civil sector, and if you can help the civil sector, as and when the armed forces require, then you can transpose yourself to the armed forces. Right? But if you're working as a software architect, develop expertise in your thing, because that's where I think you will be of value to the country. Okay. Sri Hari Kumar says, what is your opinion on China's economy size as per Martinez method? 5.1 trillion by hybrid method. It would be around, by hybrid method, it would be around 8.6, assuming data fudging from 0.8. Sri Hari, let's put it this way. There's no doubt that China's economy is not the 17 trillion which it claims. On that, I have no doubt. Now, it's a matter of relativity whether it is 12 trillion, 13 trillion, 5 trillion, or 8 trillion. It doesn't matter. Because the GDP of a nation is only a metric. Okay. After that, it has no value. The GDP of a nation doesn't give you happiness. I will just give you a comparison. You know what USA's GDP is? You know what India's GDP is? India's GDP is, people now say 4, 5, $trillion, let's say $4 trillion. US GDP is over $20 trillion, 5 times that size. And, some time back I was in the USA. Now, to buy a loaf of bread in the USA, I had to spend $6 to $7, good bread. The same bread in India I get for $1 or even less. Okay. So what's the use of that 25 times GDP? I don't need it to be happy. So we have to look at how people are made happy. So this obsession with GDP is something which I am not too very bothered about. But what is the thing, whether any method you use, and China's GDP is anything from $5 trillion to $17 trillion. It means there are a lot of holes and bubbles within the GDP, within Chinese economy, which can burst, and that is known. The complete housing sector of China is a bubble. आज भी मैंने जिक्र किया उसके बारे में, क्योंकि ये पूरा गुब्बारा है, और ये हाउसिंग सेक्टर इज 30% ऑफ द चाइनीज इकोनॉमी, एंड they say about 25 to 30% of this housing sector is dead. It's of no use to anyone. It's over capacitized. उनके पास चाइना में जितने घर हैं वो पूरा इनके जिंदगी में दोबारा घर ना बनाए उनकी जरूरत नहीं है. So it's dead economy. Similarly, infrastructure. ये हाई स्पीड रेल बनाए जा रहे हैं, जो हाई स्पीड रेल है वो 25% ऑक्यूपेंसी भी नहीं है, इनका आबादी घटने वाला है। और जो हाई स्पीड जहां रेल जा रहा है वहां डेवलपमेंट है ही नहीं, ना जरूरत है ना हो सकता है, पानी नहीं है इनका। So their entire ecosystem is in a cap, and that's also dead GDP. So there's a lot of dead wood. So it's useless GDP. It doesn't matter what the numbers are. So you look at it from that point of view. That is why I keep saying China's decline has started. लोग नहीं बोलते, हम बोल लेते हैं. Right. I hope I, you know, highlighted everything. Okay. Next is. Okay, Vishwanathan says the Middle East countries have downsized their military cooperation with Russia, with USA. Does this indicate a new economic and military order with a reduced US influence? How would it impact our policy? I don't think this will happen. They might have reduced active military cooperation, but the weapon systems are from the US. They can't be run away. They can't run away. They still do courses there. They still do training there. They have to still depend on the US for spares, like we are with the Russians. So don't think that it's going to reduce. Don't go by seasonal variations. ये क्या है कि जो लिखने वाले हैं शॉर्ट टर्म एनालिस्ट या जर्नलिस्ट वगैरह ये शॉर्ट टर्म देखते हैं, तो मेरा थोड़ा लॉन्ग टर्म का सोच है, क्योंकि हमने देख लिया, जैसे मैंने बोला, एक हथियार अगर सर्विस में इंडक्ट हो गया, वो 30-40 साल तक रहेगा। मिग 21 अभी तक हैं, कब के हैं, 50 साल पुराने हैं, और उनको ऊपर हवा में रखने के लिए वी हैव टू स्टिल डिपेंड ऑन रशिया, सो दैट थिंग हैज नॉट चेंज्ड. ओके, सो इट विल एंड्योर. इट्स अ लॉन्ग टर्म थिंग, सो डोंट गो बाय सीजनल टॉक. सीजनल टॉक से कुछ नहीं होता. Okay, by their hostile actions in the Taiwan Strait or South China Sea, are the Chinese trying to start a war or conflict? What exactly are they trying to achieve by such risky acts apart from PR points at home? A very intelligent question you asked, Ritik. Why are they doing what they're doing? Why couldn't they have cooperated with everyone and got the same results? After all, if they had cooperated with everyone, they would have got the same results. They would have got probably better results. अगर आप देखोगे 2016, 17, 18 में, the trade and the inclination of all the first line nations, or the first island chain nations, were very good with the Chinese. वो यूएसए सोच रहा था कि वो उसका कोई जगह नहीं है उधर, पर जो चाइनीज का बिहेवियर है, और खास करके जी जिनपिंग का बिहेवियर ने उल्टा कर दिया मामला. क्यों कर रहे हैं ये? और ये बार बार मैं बताता रहता हूँ, क्योंकि इनका विंडो ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी क्लोज हो रहा था. इनको पता है, ऐसी बात नहीं है इनको नहीं पता कि उन दे हैव सी द डिक्लाइन इन पॉपुलेशन आई प्रेडिक्टेड लॉन्ग बैक. इट वाज declassified 2-3 months back, but the Chinese knew it long back. The Chinese knew that the structural factors in their economy was going to wreck them. So इनका जो window of opportunity to become a world power was very limited. It's actually closing. So they had to do everything in a hurry. Xi Jinping has been a man in a hurry. So that is why this problem has happened the way it has happened. Okay, I've answered Vishwanathan. Right. I'll take a question later. I'll take Rahul's question. Why India officially doesn't participate in Shangri-La Dialogue and Munich Security Conference? Germany, only some scholars attend this conference who are not associated with the government. Munich Security Conference last year, External Affairs Minister had gone. I don't think so. And Shangri-La also last year someone had gone. We do participate. It's not as if we don't participate. We do that. This year, if people have not gone, it might be for a different reason. But I remember last year someone had gone there. Okay. Uh, Regarding de-dollarization, what are your views on BRICS bank and new currency? Will it? No, it will not be an alternate. For the simple reason, BRICS has India. India will never accept the new currency which is dominated by China. And any BRIC currency has to be dominated by China. So it will never accept it. Okay. Chilsing, with due respect, India is going down because of huge increase in madrasa educated people and religious conversation and sliding. And don't be a fool, yeah. Let's be very clear, Chilsing. You better take a chill. Okay. I don't know what your background is, but I think you're living in La La Land. You're living in a dreamland. Okay. I don't know where you are from. I see a lot of people of all faiths all around, and things are going well. ऐसी बात नहीं है. This phobia that everyone who's a Muslim is a madrasa educated person is stupid. And there's no civil war happening anywhere, and there's no balkanization happening anywhere. So I suggest you take a chill. Okay? Yeah. Uh, Death parade. In World War II, British developed something called the suppression charts, where X number of shells in Y minutes to achieve a certain effect. Suppression, complete breakdown. Do we use them today? Yeah, we do use them. They are pretty good ones, right? We call them ammunition tables. It is not only the British who use it; it is also the Russians who use it. The Russians use it in a different, great manner. Uh, the problem in this method of doing things is a few things have changed. Right, the ammunition has changed drastically, and missiles have come into the fore quite a bit. Plus, the ranges of the weapon systems have changed, and wars have become few. So we don't have enough data because all these tables or suppression charts, everything works on statistics. It's a probability. Okay. And it's all based on probability theory. I can explain that to you in great detail because I haven't taught this subject when I was an instructor long back. Mind you, 20 years or 30 years back. Not even that. When did I last teach AMTAB? 84, 85. Yeah. So when is that? So you're talking nearly 40 years back. So I know them how to do it. But so a lot of things have changed. Are we keeping up with it? Yes, we are keeping up with it. Will it work? We don't know. That's the problem. We don't know whether it will work because there's no empirical evidence to match the theoretical evidence. Yeah. Please educate us about the challenge we face to safeguard Siliguri corridor and its strategic importance to India. Okay. Let me see if that I sort of expected this question. So let me show that map. Okay, right. Have a look at this thing. Between Nepal and Bangladesh is the Siliguri corridor, 23 kilometers only. Now, if that Siliguri corridor is cut off, all the states of Northeast, Sikkim, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, uh, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Mizoram, Manipur, right, all get cut off. Okay, physically. And our sea route from West Bengal to Tripura or for that matter to Mizoram have not come through. And we don't have a direct transit route through Bangladesh. Okay. When you see the thing between Sikkim and Bhutan, you see the tongue coming down, that is the Chumbi Valley. The bottom part of that is Doklam, which is what the Chinese wanted to come over. Now, from there, if the Chinese come down, they can cut off this Siliguri corridor. They really can't cut it off. If they come down, they can make their presence felt and construct the Siliguri corridor and threaten our northeast. Okay, so that's the importance. Okay, the challenges we face to safeguard them is only from the top. Bangladesh के साथ जब तक रिलेशंस ठीक है सब कुछ ठीक ठाक है. नेपाल के साथ जब तक रिलेशंस ठीक ठाक है कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. वैसे नेपाल के पास कोई क्षमता नहीं है उसको क्लोज करने के लिए. ओनली प्रॉब्लम इज फ्रॉम द नॉर्थ. बट everyone says that the China can come from the north and cut this corridor off. But equally, where that Sikkim, likha hua M of Sikkim, right? Okay, I'll show it fully. So the M of Sikkim, if you see to the right of that, that V which is coming down, which is called the Chumbi Valley, is at best 50 kilometers at width, at the highest point, the farthest point. And there's only one road coming into it. And if China takes an offensive through that and crosses the Doklam and plateau and the Dolam plateau and comes down, it's actually called the Dolam plateau, and it comes down, you can cut it off in the rear, actually. You can trap anyone who's in this and finish it off. So we are not that vulnerable. Once upon a time, we might have been vulnerable, but no more. Plus, today there's a lot of air connectivity and all that. And in a situation, we can always have a treaty with Bangladesh to have a train running right from Calcutta to Tripura. Old routes are there already. And we can still go through the sea. Again through Bangladesh to Agartala. ऐसी बात नहीं है कि this thing, we have to do certain things, we'll do. It is not as if that we can live with it, without it. But we can and we can this thing. I hope I answered your question. Okay. Right. Okay. Now let me see. There's someone who says is this Ishan. Okay, he says I must respectfully disagree on one point. The major reason for India's rapid rise and progress has been good governance. No other administration except this one could accelerate India's growth in such a way. Well, that's your point of view. I have no problem with this. But I have seen India grow in cycles. Okay. And it is not necessary this administration. I am for this administration. They've done a tremendous job. Okay. There's no doubt about that. But it is not as if India's progress has been done only under this administration. It has been done under previous administrations also. Right? So this administration also could not have done what it did without having a good base before this. Right? That base was important. That base effect is important. Don't forget that. And like I said, irrespective of which government is in place, it is you and I who matter. I have great faith in India and Indians and all of us. That's why I said I'll talk about this thing. I have no problem with what this government has done. But to think that it is only this government has done what it has done is also wrong. We need to have balance. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Right. One question: do you see India becoming a manufacturing hub for semiconductors and microchips in the future? How do our recent discoveries of lithium reserves help with this? Yeah, that's a fair question. There are question marks on this. While there is a lot of potential, there is a lot of question marks. Reasons. The lithium reserves are proven, but to convert that lithium into some usable lithium for semiconductors, I think is a decade away. Okay. Because you have to take it out, you have to go through the process and set up a commercial process, and that commercial process has to give you commercial lithium and all that. So that's a decade away. That's a gestation period for any project of this kind. Because for your information, it is not as if this discovery is a discovery of India which was made today. It was known about 10 years back. It has only come out into the open now because the reserves have been proven. So when you say this government has done everything good, it is not as if this government has discovered it. It's a process. Okay. Full credit to the government if it does take it further. There's no doubt about it. Right. Now, when we come to the semiconductor thing, I think there are three consortiums who were weighing for setting up semiconductor factories in India. All three have run into problems, whether it's Vedanta or the Singapore consortium or a third consortium, I don't remember which it is. They've all got into problems. So that has gone back by some time, or capability to make semiconductors. Plus, there are issues of availability of clean water and all that, because you need absolutely clean water for making semiconductors. Taiwan is blessed because of its glaciers. It's got a lot of glaciers on its central spine where they get clean water. We also have places. It's not as if we don't have, like in Mysore and other places. So let us see how it will pan out. But my thing is that I feel that India, to become a manufacturing hub of any kind, it has to have a plan. And should not become another China, because China is facing tremendous problems of lack of water, pollution, and climate change because of industrialization. In our country, where the population density is far greater than China, we're going to have major problems if we do not look into these issues. Right? And plus, you also have to understand it's not easy. I keep giving this example of the Sterlite factory, which is making copper in Tuticorin. Till that factory was there, we were export surplus of copper. When the factory went out, we became import dependent on copper. And where? From China. Why did this entire thing got closed down? Because of various issues. But there's a Chinese hand in it. So we should be clear as to how we progress our whole story. Okay. Right. We were at okay. We were at Chil Singh. We finished Death Parade, Transfer Armada. Yeah. I will take one question at least from everyone. How are we going to solve the tripartite border dispute between India, Myanmar, and China? Because Myanmar says it to resolve it with first China, and we all know China. Yeah, this is going to be a long drawn affair. I don't think it will happen in a hurry, right? I don't think at all it will be happening in a hurry, because there are actually हमें पता नहीं है या ध्यान नहीं है कि चाइना म्यांमार के बीच में भी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं बॉर्डर के ऊपर. उनका बॉर्डर डिलिनेटेड है पर बॉर्डर्स में प्रॉब्लम्स है, राइट? तो वहाँ पॉपी कल्टीवेशन वगैरह होता है, ड्रग्स का प्रॉब्लम है उधर, और इलीगल स्मगलिंग का प्रॉब्लम है. So, and Myanmar is a difficult country. So that part of the border doesn't give us problems. And that doesn't matter to China also. चाइना का जो बॉर्डर के ऊपर जो इनको फोकस है वो है आपका तवांग और ईस्टर्न लद्दाख. ये दो चीज है. इनफैक्ट मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ, मेरे पास एक रिक्वेस्ट आया है कि कंपेयर the lessons learned in 62 and what we have learned in Eastern Ladakh, and see what is the military comparison between the two in terms of the lessons learned. I'm doing this analysis maybe somewhere around 16th, 17th, 18th. I'll give a presentation on it. I'm going into it. And why I'm saying is, where all China has come in 62 is the places where they are interested in. Right? And part of the thing which comes out is that China made a mistake by getting into Wolong. Okay, when they got into Wolong, we put up a tough fight there, and they had to shift forces from Arunachal Pradesh to Wolong, or rather from the Bumla sector in the center to Wolong. As a result, they couldn't sustain themselves, even though they got maximum success. All these stories come out if you study the whole war. Yeah. Abhishek. Do you think we should significantly increase the role strength of Sainik schools and allow admission of girls as well, so that military discipline? I agree with you completely. There are already states which have asked for 2 military schools. वो चला भी रहे हैं दो military school कुछ states. I am aware of it. I remember when I was in Maharashtra, the chief minister of Maharashtra had come to me and said, "Can you increase the number of right? Can you add one more science school over and above Satara?" So I said, "Yeah, why not? If the states can, because the Sainik school is funded by the state, the center gives the expertise to run it. It is a state subject. So there are a lot of states, and I don't see why we should not get girls into it. And look at it from another point of view. Sainik schools are good residential boarding schools. Why not? Yeah, right. Quantum, I'll geek. How much capital defense budget would wish for India? Anything above 100 billion? I will not talk of a figure, right? I will not talk of a figure. Right now, we are spending about 2% of our GDP on defense. I think that has to go up to about 3%. But the more important part of the getting the money is the fact that you should be able to spend it. हमारा जो सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम ये है कि we struggle to spend what we get. Okay, we struggle to spend what we get because our capital procurement routes are quite problematic, and we have not been able to resolve it. If I find any problem with this government, they have not been able to resolve it. It's nice to say I have a new procedure X, Y, Z. All these new procedures have complicated old procedures. That's all. They have not resulted in something concrete. I can say this with authority. Okay, let me tell you, and I don't want to embarrass people by talking figures and examples, but I can tell you with authority. So it's not a matter of getting more money, it's a matter of being able to spend it. अगर किसी को आप 100 रुपए दे दोगे, उसको पता नहीं कि उसको कैसे खर्च करना है, उसका फायदा क्या है उसको 100 रुपए देने का. So इसके साथ साथ कि किसी बजट बढ़ाइए, उसके साथ साथ हमारे पास कैपेसिटीज और प्लान्स होना चाहिए जिस तरीके से आप खर्च कर सकते हो, और स्कीम्स होना चाहिए which are at the stage of completion. Okay, are there any specific technologies which cannot be tested in the private sector like PNT and RNG and secure keys? How do we engage with the military? Look, there are many things which can be tested only in the army. There are many things which can be tested only in the private thing. Now, depending on the item which is going to come in, right, you'll have to work out a test regime. जब हम सोचते हैं कि भाई ये आइटम खरीदना है, you work out कि कहाँ टेस्ट क्या क्या करना है. So it's not something set in stone. And आजकल तो हम ज्यादातर सेल्फ सर्टिफिकेशन और प्राइवेट टेस्टिंग के ऊपर हम internationally accredited private testing organizations के साथ हम we are going for it. And how do we engage with the military? You have to engage as part of the procurement process. There's no other way, right? If you are part of the testing process, you have to get to the producers to say, I have this test capabilities. You want to be part of the manufacturing, you have to vie for contracts. There's no other way, either revenue or capital. Yeah. One feels a great deal of confidence and reassurance listening to your talks. Thanks for your well-analyzed and clear-headed conclusions vis-a-vis China and Pakistan. Thanks a lot, Akshobh Singh Saab. I see that you are a senior citizen, right? Why I am telling you this? आपको पता होना चाहिए क्यों मैं ऐसे बात कर रहा हूँ. मैंने अपने जिंदगी में, and we're talking of 4 decades of service in the armed forces, right? I have seen our army function, armed forces function. I've gone through wars, I've gone through counterinsurgency. There is no country which has handled counterinsurgency the way Indian Army and the Indian armed forces have done. There is no country which has won all its wars except the 62. We have won all our wars. We are very experienced. There is no country which uh, can, which doesn't talk but does more, right? And if you see, analyze the battles which have happened, आप देखिए तालिबान और यूएसए के बारे में क्या हुआ, या आप देखिए यूक्रेन में क्या हो रहा है. It doesn't matter how big a country it is. What matters is how it performs at that point of time on the battlefield. And we have that capability to perform on the battlefield. आप देखिए, ये जब 2020 में जब वो those operations happened in eastern Ladakh, we were able to push the Chinese back. Why? Because we were able to, in the face of the enemy, we did some maneuvers which outflanked them. It's a pity that we couldn't prize them out of Datsang. That will happen. I have no doubt. Right? And देखिए, उसके लिए भी we have to be very clear. The Indian government has played a very smart trick now. They have made the SCO meet as virtual. क्योंकि उनको पता है कि देप्सांग में कोई ब्रेक थ्रू नहीं होने वाला है, तो जी जिनपिंग को बुलाए ही नहीं इधर. आप मत आइए जब तक ये सॉर्ट आउट नहीं होगा. Okay, we don't want him here. So these are subtle messages which we play. हर बार we tend to underplay ourselves, or everyone else overplays themselves. And हम इतने बेवकूफ हैं as a nation that we don't trust our own strengths. जिस दिन हम अपने आत्मविश्वास डिस्कवर करेंगे, हम बहुत आगे बढ़ जाएंगे. और वो होगा, ऐसी बात नहीं है. मैं इसीलिए बोलता हूं कि आप सब लोगों को कृपया मेरे चैनल में आपके लोगों, बच्चों को, फ्रेंड्स वगैरह ले आइए, ताकि उनको वो कॉन्फिडेंस हो कि हमारा देश महान देश है. मैं आपको ये नहीं बोलूंगा कि महान देश इसीलिए क्योंकि ये सरकार है या ये लीडर है. नहीं, हमारा देश महान है इसलिए क्योंकि आप और हम महान बनाते हैं. ये लीडर लोग आते जाते रहते हैं. ये मेरा तजुर्बा है ये, राइट? और मैंने इस देश में इलेक्शंस करवाए हैं, और ऐसे इलेक्शंस करवाए हैं जिसमें एक ही वोट का होता हुआ है एक पोलिंग बूथ में. और वो भी क्योंकि मैं एक उस लड़के को लेके गया, मैंने कहा यार मेरे खातिर एक वोट डाल दो. वो हालत भी हमने देखा है इधर. पर वही इलाका आज इट इज गोइंग गुड. सो आई हैव लॉट ऑफ फेथ इन माय नेशन. Vaibhav, if China captures Siliguri corridor, how can we retaliate that move? I've told you, you just close the Chumbi Valley. That's the end of the story. Firstly, China can't capture it. Secondly, if it captures, we'll close the top. Okay. Yeah. How long will China food security? केमाराम यादव जी, आप 6 तारीख को ये फूड सिक्योरिटी के बारे में हमारा पूरा प्रोग्राम है. मेरे को पता है किसी और ने नहीं किया, किसी और चैनल ने, किसी और ने सोचा नहीं, मैंने सोचा है. क्योंकि हर लोग बात करता रहता है, आपको पता होना चाहिए कि किस तरीके से उसका फूड सिक्योरिटी क्या कहानी है. एक है यहाँ चेन्नई सेंटर ऑफ ऐना स्टडीज में जिसने इसके ऊपर पूरा रिसर्च किया है. वो 6 तारीख को लेके आ रहा हूँ. एक यंग लड़का है, उससे बात कीजिए. एक्चुअली वो प्रोग्राम ऑलरेडी मैंने डाल दिया हमारे इसमें. Yeah, jet engine technology status in China. Look, China's gone ahead of us in jet engine technology. We are still way back. Okay. Namaskaram. Thanks a lot, Jayan. Right? Right. Jayan says, is there any possibility to India to set up a naval base in East Asia, Philippines, Vietnam, Taiwan? Why should we set up a base there? When America is setting up bases, they have their own, navies. You need to have a pact with them. You should know how to act with them in concert with each other. That's enough. You need a base in the Eastern Indian Ocean. Sorry, Western Indian Ocean. Aguilega, Maldives, or Maldives, though no one will allow. On the Chagos Archipelago, maybe can we put up a thing somewhere near Lakshadweep? in Lakshadweep somewhere around. So you don't need a base there. You need a base in, and it's foolish to go out there. Let them fight. There are enough navies to do the job. There's USA, Australia is there with AUKUS. करेंगे वो अपना काम. Yeah, Anmol, Anmol, Anmol ke dua. Okay. Generally, we hear of back channel talk with Pakistan, but not with China. Is it because of a social disconnect? No, back channel talk happens with China. It's not so this thing. Okay. So, from the perspective of professional sniper, which determine the superiority of rifles like compared to the Indian? Look, Indian made INSAS is not a sniper rifle. Okay, it's just a general rifle. Even AK-203 is a sniper. Is a normal rifle. Sniper rifles have their different requirements for different purposes. Sniping also there are different types of sniping. So if that's too complicated a thing, I'll not touch it here. Okay, Rekha Pai. Are our men taught to handle situations mechanically and not rely on electronics AI? No, I think you have to understand. Our men are taught to handle things mechanically by rote. There's no doubt about it. Because in battle you don't think, you act. You have to act with your eyes closed. But can we act with AI and electronics? We can. Look, let me put it this way, my personal experience. In 1984, we got the Bofors gun. In 1984, this was the most modern gun in the world. And I was a young captain, budding captain. Okay, I handled the first of the guns. It took me a long time to learn about this gun. And I used to wonder, will our men be able to handle these modern gun systems? They did. Today, Bofors, every unit handles in the artillery Bofors gun system with all its complexities. And we are upgrading it with AI and all this thing. And we'll handle it. So don't ever think that our men cannot handle latest technology. You'll be surprised. Our men can handle latest technology better than we think. Okay. Please tell about the defense pact with Oman. Do we have a naval base at Muscat? Do Indian Army give security to Oman as a country? We don't have a naval base there, but we have some kind of a good pact with Oman. Oman looks at us for many things. A lot of training of Omanis we do here, and we do training for them there. Right? We don't have a formal pact the way you think. We don't have a naval base there, but we have a lot of activity. And Oman is one of our trusted friends in that area, and they trust us. I'll not talk more, but let me tell you, when I was doing the NDC, I had there was a student from Oman. I was a sponsor student. I used to look after him for everything, and I know what he was and how they feel towards us. I had a lot of interaction with their whole family. When his family came to India, I called them over to my house and gave them dinner and all that. Okay, death parade, right. I'm taking one question from everyone so that, So, Hemant Tokala. What will be the outcome of Ukraine conflict? How do you see Russia, India, and Russia, China? Yeah, Hemant, मैंने last में वो update में बताया था first में how the Ukraine conflict will end. I said it will be a frozen end. It will be a frozen conflict. Russia, India, Russia, China relations evolving, that quadrilateral, wait. I'm going to spend a lot of time on that. Okay. Assuming you're the defense minister for a year, what things you try, especially from China perspective? That's a very good question. I will build capacities. Our capacity to wage a long war has to be built. And that has to be their infrastructure, capacities, your ability to sustain war for a long time, your jump capacities. These are the things which one has to focus on. And mind you, I learned all this from a very great one, who I feel was one of the best defense ministers India has had, Manohar Parrikar. Okay, Hardik Sharma. Can any nation in this globalized world become an autarky? Which is the nation closest to the state of autarky? US, Russia, or China? Will Cold War II lead to nations like USA trying? Autarkic nations are out. Even if we deglobalize, autarky is out. We are interdependent to a large extent. We might not be dependent very much with those whom we don't trust. The level of interdependence with those whom we don't trust will go down. The level of interdependence on critical issues or critical technologies or critical linkages with whom we don't trust will go down. But otherwise, there'll be no autarky. One of the problems China is facing is this, that China's growth is based on interdependence. It is trying to become autarkic, and this transition is something which it cannot handle. Okay, Tushar says, can you discuss the status of? No, I really don't know. When these are specifics, I really don't keep track of. Do you think Bharat needs military industrial academia complex? If yes, how much extent do we need? Because it might overpower or become powerful lobby government like in. We need something far more than what we have. That you think you'll go become a lobby like in the USA is another century away. We are in the infancy stages. Let me tell you, I'm in this business of trying to get the defense closer to IIT Madras. I am finding it lot of difficulty because the culture has to change. I've already spent 6 years in IIT Madras. I've made some headway. It's not as if I've not made some headway, but there's a long way to go. For us to imagine that we'll become something like the US defense lobby, wait for 50 years. Not in my lifetime. Okay, Saibal Roy. Okay, economically we are on the right track. Militarily we can defend ourselves. Where is the threat from China? Personally, after a deep dive, I hardly see any threat. Yeah, to a large extent, you're right. You're right. But the problem is threat from India. The threat isn't upsetting your apple cart along the LAC, or your threat is upsetting your apple cart in the Indian Ocean region. Like I always say, it is a small problem which will take us down more. Right? It's a national reaction or overreaction which will kill you. The internal problems of India are susceptible to external pressures. Okay. You see, our thing with Eastern Ladakh, we handled it well. In fact, I thought personally the Indian Army, Air Force, handled this entire problem very well. Okay, finally. But the narrative internationally is that India is under threat and we cannot handle it ourselves. The narrative from the Americans is that, we'll have to help you out, which they don't have to. Okay, they really don't have to. Okay, Akash. Doesn't government of India understand economy of scales? We order 6 subs in P75 and P75 rather than 24 subs and acquiring 49%. Yeah, look, Akash, these are actually technical issues. There are problems. It's not as if no one knows. Those 6 subs can become 24, but पहले चाहिए तो बने. उसी में problems है. I'm aware of the whole case. Right? We have major problems. Even getting 6 subs, the Scorpion D things took how long? Okay. So there are problems in this, right? So that is what I have finished. I have taken one question, everyone. If there's anyone whose question is not answered, you can type it in and I'll answer. At least one question per head I've answered. Okay. I don't see. Thanks a lot. Tomorrow there'll be no program. Day after tomorrow, that is 6th, we're going to talk of food security of China or the food insecurity of China, whatever it is, right? Yeah, okay. Let Tarun comes up. Sir, can we handle outside problem forces? We can handle outside problem forces. How do we deal with internal problems? That's always been a problem. That's our historical problem, is our internal problems. The day we can handle our internal problems, we'll be a superpower. Okay, no government has been able to handle our internal problems well so far. Let me be very honest with you. Okay, our internal problems are myriad. That is why they can't handle it well. Right? It is not as if that a government is good or bad or better or worst. Our problems are myriad. So we can never be handled the way, say, USA gets handled or China gets handled or Saudi Arabia handles itself, or it's not Russia. Our things are different, our cultures are different, our civilizations are different. Okay, our outlooks are different. Okay, and our dynamics, internal dynamics are different. Right? Okay. With this, I think I'll close for the day. Sorry. Day after tomorrow, we will talk of food security. Join in, and sometime down the line, I'm going to have a few interns coming and talking to us on militarization of space by China from the Chennai Center of China Studies. So when that happens, I would request a lot of people to come and give them a little encouragement on that day. And I would also request you once again, please ask your friends to join in. This channel I want to increase not because it helps me. It doesn't help me. At the end of the day, I'm not going to get one naya paisa out of this. I'm just going to donate it to anyone, those people who need it, right? And those people who need it, in my opinion, are girl children, and it is for their education I'm doing all this. Those who can't afford their own education, right? So, but I need more of our people to understand what India is all about. We have a warped idea of India because it's either theoretic or rhetoric, or it is pure satta, which I see in many channels. That's why I started this whole story, to get you authentic information about where we stand in the global affairs. Thanks a lot. Good evening and Jai Hind.